This is a 1972 season recap. Today we'll be going over the events of Week 6. We've reached the last week of May in the 1972 season. And the season is moving right along. Baltimore leads in the AL East. Kansas City leads in the AL West. The NL East is led by the Mets, and the NL West is led by the Dodgers. Start off with an update on Jerry Koosman. Koosman, who recently was cleared by the DA's office in New York for possibly having some kind of involvement in fixing a horse race last year. In his first appearance after that, pitched against the Cubs in Wrigley Field, where he went 6 1/3 innings, giving up 4 hits and 1 unearned run in a game that the Mets beat the Cubs 12-6. His next start after that was in St. Louis, and he left the game with an injury. After Lou Brock led off for the Cardinals, lining out to center field, and Koosman left the game with an injury. But let's see, I think he's day-to-day. Yeah, he's day-to-day. He's not going on the disabled list and isn't expected to miss his next start. Then we'll go to Oakland for an update on Mike Hegan, who's still hitting the ball. He went 7 for 24 in the last week. Striking out 9 times also. So it seems like he's either hitting the ball or striking out. Seven for 24. I believe that's about 340 average. Let's see. No, I take that back. That's hitting 292. So maybe he's coming back to earth a little bit. He's second in the American League in hitting, though, at 409, with Richie Scheibloom, another hitter who seemed to come out of nowhere this year, who's leading the majors, actually, hitting 422. Kansas City, they're really been the surprise team of the season so far. I mean, we're 6 weeks in. On Wednesday night for Oakland, Vita Blue returned, making his first appearance since ending his holdout. He faced Nolan Ryan in California, and he pitched 7 innings, striking out 12. Now, let's see what happened that day. He gave up 4 runs. Oakland won that game 7-4. He got the win. Nolan Ryan took the loss. He's now 4-2. He pitched 6 innings. He struck out 8. Ryan has been pitching very well since coming to the American League. That start was one of 3 starts that he's had this year where he had less than 11 strikeouts. Oakland right now is, let me see, they were stumbling a bit. Now they had a home series against California and home series against Chicago. They took 2 out of 3 from each of those series. So they won 4 out of their last 6. Including winning 2 out of 3 from California. And that was holding California back. They're in second place right now, but then California went to Kansas City, or Kansas City came to Anaheim, the first place Royals, and California took 3 out of 4 from them. So that moved California to about a game behind Kansas City. Andy Messersmith of the Angels, he's having quite a year so far. He is 6-1 with a 0.82 ERA. He has a 3-game winning streak, and all 3 of those wins have been shutouts. He has pitched He's pitched 28 innings straight now without giving up a run. Mr. Smith, he's had a pretty good run with the Angels going back to 1969, although he kind of backslid last season, going 12-19. He started out in their bullpen for part of their 1968 season, and he's been in their starting rotation for the last 4 seasons now. In Minnesota's in 3rd place. And they had Rod Carew. He had a 20-game hitting streak going. And that was ended on Sunday against Texas. That was only the second game in May that he went without a hit. The last game he was hitless before May 28th was on May 3rd. And he raised his record from during the month of May. He raised his batting average from 218 to 326. In the NL West, the Dodgers went to Houston. Dodgers were a half game ahead of the Astros. Dodgers in first place, and the Astros in second place. The Astros were riding a 6-game winning streak, including having winning 3 in a row against Los Angeles in a 4-game series at Los Angeles. But the Dodgers kind of returned the favor in the Astrodome, winning 2 out of 3 from Houston. And 2 of those games were one-run games. They won 6-5, then they won 6-4, then they lost 2-1 on Sunday. In the game they lost 2-1, that was a pretty good start by Al Downing. He went 7 1/3 innings, giving up 2 runs. But the Dodgers just could not solve Jerry Rice, and then for 7 innings, and then Fred Gladding for 2 innings, able to only score 1 run. But the Dodgers remain in first place. And Cincinnati, who's in third place, will be the next visitors to the Astrodome. So they could be playing for second place this week coming up, while Atlanta's close behind in fourth place. We'll move on to the American League East. Baltimore's in first place, and the second place Cleveland Indians came to Baltimore. They were they're 4.5 games back. And Friday night, it was Vince Colbert against Dave McNally in Baltimore. Vince Colbert pitched a great game. He went 7 innings, giving up 3 hits and 1 run. But Dave McNally just totally shut down the Indians. He took a no-hitter into the 6th. And in fact, it was his opposite number, Vince Colbert, singled in the 6th with 2 outs. And that was the only hit of the game for Cleveland. And one of only 2 Cleveland base runners. Cleveland's only other base runner had been Greg Nettles in the fourth, who led off with a walk, or the fifth, led off with a walk, and then he was erasing a double play. And after Colbert's single, no other member of the Indians got on. McNally recorded 10 consecutive outs. 9 of those were on ground ball outs. The Baltimore infield was busy. They recorded 16 outs during the game. And Mark Belanger was especially busy, having 7 assists. Dave McNally returned the favor in the bottom of the sixth after losing his no-hitter to Colbert. He led off with a double. And with 1 out, he ended up scoring on Brooks Robinson's sacrifice fly with the only run of the game. The next night, Saturday night, was a game between two spot starters, both ironically from who came out of the Dodgers organization. Ray Lamb for Cleveland and Doyle Alexander for Baltimore. Indians scratched out a run in the first when Frank Duffy took second on Dave Johnson's error and then scored off Chris Chambliss's double. And then the teams just, it was like a pitcher's duel of like the best kind. Indians had their 1 earned run, and then Ray Lamb just was something of an emergency starter. Ken Aspermani was hoping to get 5 decent innings out of him. He went into the 7th inning with a no-hitter. And finally, with 1 out, Don Baylor broke up the no-hitter with a single. And Lamb was replaced by Phil Hennigan. And the Orioles got runners on base in both the 8th and 9th innings. And in fact, in the 9th inning, with 1 out, Don Baylor walked, and he doubled into right field. Buddy Bell played it perfectly, hit the cutoff man, and Baylor was out at the plate, preserving the shutout, and Mark Belanger grounded out to end the game. The Indians won that game 1-0, so they had 2-1 1-0 games in a row. Then on Sunday, the Orioles kind of roughed up Gaylord Perry a bit. He pitched 8 innings, gave up 4 runs. The big hit against Perry was Dave Johnson's 2-run homer in the 7th. That put the Orioles up 3-0, and then they scored what looked like an insurance run in the 8th. But then in the 9th inning, Chambliss led off with a triple, then Bell walked. Roy Foster grounded into a force play. Tom McCruck came up and walked. Grant Jackson came in to pitch, relieving Mike Cuellar. and Ray Fosse walked. So the Indians had the bases loaded. They're down 4-1. They had scored a run on Foster's force out. Greg Nettles came up to pinch hit, and he doubled with the bases loaded, clearing the bases and tying the game. Then Frank Duffy followed with a triple, putting the Indians up 5-4. Del Unser grounded out. That scored Frank Duffy. The Indians scored 6 runs in the top of the ninth. And the Orioles went quietly 1-2-3 in the bottom of the ninth. So the Indians pulled out a 6-4 win when they were down 4-0 going into the ninth inning. And Gaylord Perry came out of that game with his 5th win. Then on Memorial Day, the Indians had a night game. It's only their second Monday game of the season. And they came out swinging against Jim Palmer. In the third inning, Jack Brohammer hit a solo home run. And then later on in the inning, Tom McCraw followed with a 3-run homer. So the Indians were up 4-0, and they were in charge the rest of the way. They won the game 5-1. Milt Wilcox got his second win of the year for Cleveland. He's 2-5, while Jim Palmer took the loss, and he drops to 3-4. So after the games of Memorial Day, Cleveland is only 2.5 back behind the Orioles. Cleveland has Detroit and California this week, while Baltimore will have Boston and Oakland. And let's see what else I got. Second manager change in the majors this week. Dave Bristol was relieved of his managerial duties in Milwaukee. And Coach Roy McMillan filled in as an interim manager for a couple of games. And Del Crandall, former member of the Braves, the Milwaukee Braves, he was managing Evansville in the American Association. And he was brought in to take over as the Brewers manager. This is the second managerial switch this season, with earlier Preston Gomez was relieved of duties in San Diego and Don Zimmer took over. Dave Bristol had been offered the Indians managerial job during the off season, but he didn't want to leave Milwaukee because he thought that the big trade with Boston may have re-energized Milwaukee's lineup, and he thought he would get a chance to have some time to get that going. But Milwaukee's in last place in the AL East. And there's rumors out of Atlanta that their manager, Lumen Harris, is on his way out, and they've got Eddie Matthews waiting by the phone to take over. And there's all kinds of stories that Paul Richards and Bill Bartholomew of Atlanta are denying this. They even had a meeting in person at Comiskey Park, of all places, where I guess Paul Richards still, based on all his years with the White Sox, probably still has some pull over there. So we'll be following that story if Harris will be able to ride this out, or if he's come to the end of the road in Atlanta. Atlanta's kind of spinning their wheels, playing about 500 ball right now. And apparently the Atlanta front office thinks that Harris is too easygoing with the players, and they think somebody a little more hard nosed like Eddie Matthews might be a better fit to like get the Braves in line. Start having guys like report to the ballpark earlier and curfew and all that kind of stuff. In New York, they got 40-year-old Willie Mays. He is still going strong since coming over from San Francisco in the preceding week. He was, let's see, 6, 9, 10, 11. He was 11 for at 24 maybe. 8, 13, 18. 26. He's hitting the ball at a 448 clip for the Mets since coming over. He's appeared in 14 games, and he has gotten at least one hit in 12 of those games. He has 5 home runs with the Mets. He's had 2 4-hit games with the Mets already. They had originally planned on him just being like a platoon player in center field and first base. And Yogi Berra said if he could win 1 or 2 games a week for us, we'll be in good shape. And he is just going crazy in a good way with for the Mets. The Mets are first place. They're scuffling a little bit right now. They've lost 2 of their last 4 games. But they're still well ahead of Chicago and Pittsburgh. They have the best record in baseball. They have a 744 winning percentage right now. Which, I mean, I'm sure nobody thinks they're going to be able to continue that, but for the time being, they're playing tough. And the last guy I want to talk to about this so far is the young catcher from St. Louis, Ted Simmons. Ted Simmons started off the season with a 19-game hitting streak. So the first game this season that he did not get a hit was on May 11th against Houston. And since that day, he has a 17-game hitting streak. So he has appeared in 36 games. And he has gotten a hit in 35 of those games. He has one game this season so far with no hits. He is batting .415 right now. He batted .455 in April, and he's hitting .398 in May. Another guy like Mike Hegan, I'm sure he'll start coming to earth eventually. He's second in the National League in hitting, behind only Manny Mota, who's hitting .421 for the Dodgers. Another guy hitting way over his head. But, yeah, that's about all I have for right now. This weekend Cleveland will be playing the California Angels. The Angels are coming to the stadium. Detroit is coming to the stadium during the weekend. California will be there on the weekend. I hope you're enjoying the season as we go along. Thank you for watching.